Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, powered by FanDuel Sportsbook.
All right, thanks a lot, Susan, and thank you for tuning in to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, brought to you by, powered by FanDuel Sportsbook. My co-host tonight is the birthday boy, Andrew Fillipponi. Happy birthday, Pony. I'm glad I could give you a gift of co-hosting with me tonight on the Sports Call.
And I just feel obliged that I follow a legend like Susan Copen, another great Syracuse.
Oh, that's right. You guys are Syracuse.
That's absolutely right. I mean, we've pumped out so many greats from Tim Benz to Susan Copen and now me.
Yeah, I think this week is like an all Syracuse week on the Sports Call.
David Highfield, another Syracuse.
Another sports.
Great.
Yeah, our producer, Jared Barton, another Syracuse alum. That's what we do here. All right, so give us a call, 412-575-2600. We have a few things to talk about. One, the Penguins. I want to get into that. What do they do right now? They lost to the worst team in the West tonight. I don't think that that's a major problem, but I think the major problem for the Penguins right now, where are they going to get the goals without Jake Gensel? Right. Sidney Crosby should be back here maybe in the next week or so. Maybe not this weekend, but he's getting close.
So I think they got to make a hockey trade. I agree. Rutherford has, this is for him restraint, unbelievable restraint that he's been able to go this long into the season without making a trade, because you know that he's wanted to make one the entire time. And so I think you've got to, in this position, Richie, you've got to take what you have a surplus of, take advantage of that, and trade some of it.
So let me interrupt you. What do they have a surplus of right now? So what could they trade? You would trade a defenseman.
Well, so
who would you get something for?
Okay, so we talked about this today. I think what you do is you take Justin Schultz, who has had a really good Penguins career and helped them win 2 Stanley Cups, but with John Marino and the depth you have now with Ricola and Ruedel can jump into the lineup. To me, Florida has the best collection of wingers who can score who are on expiring contracts. They've got 2 guys, Mike Hoffman, who's like a poor man's Phil Kessel, and Evgeny Davinov, who scored 2 goals tonight, who's up to 16 goals on the season. And they're not throwing in the towel. I mean, they're not a team that is out of the playoff mix, Richie. So they're not going to give you those guys for your scraps or for draft picks. And you trade Schultz for one of those 2 players. And you take what is a defenseman that will help Florida make the playoffs and give them a top 4 defenseman. And you get a winger back who is going to be a top 6 guy. And I say that because the other players, Richie, that are being discussed here, Chris Kreider and
I'm not a big fan of him, but I would.
Well,
like
he's
to
a nice player, but like he's a guy that if Jake Gensel had not gotten injured, you'd look at him and say he can be a second-line or third-line player and he's got playoff pedigree. But I think they need something more than that. I mean, Davinov and Hoffman, if you put them with Malkin or Crosby, I think you're looking at guys that could score in the second half of the season 20-plus goals. And then you carry that into the playoff, depending how much power play time you give them. They need proven goal scorers, and they're in short supply. And going through the teams that have rental players, I think Florida's flush with guys that could help you in the interim. But you're not just going to be able to give up a first-round pick or second-round pick to get him. You've got to give up something substantial, and that's why I think Schultz makes the most sense.
Yeah, I mean, I would be.
And not Murray.
Okay.
I would not trade Murray.
You wouldn't?
No.
We talked about this yesterday. I'm for. Well, I'm on the fence with both. I could see both. I could see.
Well, what is your? So you're saying trade him?
I'm saying trade him. Your window, at some point, you're going to have to make a move there. Your window is what, 3 years with these guys? That would be my guess, with the Malkin and Crosby being great and a chance to win. So go after it. And your biggest piece right now is maybe Matt Murray. He's going to command a lot of money here after this restricted free agency, and he signs another one. I don't think the Penguins can afford to pay him, especially if they have a guy like Jari. And you can't trade Jari, and then all of a sudden, if you trade Jari, then you have to pay Murray that money. Where are you getting that money? So I think he's a big piece for them. I just don't know if I wouldn't feel comfortable with Casey DeSmith as your backup into the postseason this year. Plus, Jari hasn't proved anything yet. I'd like to see what he's doing by the trade deadline. I'm not sold on trading Murray this year, but I would deal him at some point.
Oh yeah, those are 2 separate things. Do I think you see how the rest of 2020 plays out? And if Jari's your playoff goaltender and he passes the test, well, then in the summer you trade Matt Murray.
Yeah.
But as of right now, the concept or the thought that you take Matt Murray and you parlay him into the goal scorer,
what if you could get some kind of outrageous package from a team that needs a goalie? You get a top-line scorer, maybe a defenseman, and a #1 pick, something like that.
Yeah.
Something that floors you. Would you do it and gamble with Jari?
So I'm trading Matt Murray in that situation?
In that situation. If you would trade, if some team offered you something that you almost couldn't refuse.
Well, yeah, okay, so like the kind of trade that we started this conversation with are guys that are on expiring contracts.
Okay.
So I'm not trading Matt Murray
for
somebody that's here for only 30 or 40 games.
I'm saying a young winger. I can't even think of someone right now.
No, I get your point. I don't think you have to give me a specific name. If you're telling me that there's a player that is going to be in the fold and can be a contributor to a Crosby or Malkin line for years to come, I'm interested. I don't know if it's, yes, you leap at that trade, but it's something that I don't dismiss out of hand.
Yeah.
I'm not totally against between now and the start of next season trading Matt Murray. The only thing I'll caution is we've seen goaltenders get hot for 20 or 25 games in Pittsburgh before, whether it's Johan Hedberg or Brent Johnson or Tomas Vokoun, that kind of thing happens. And so I'm not looking at what Tristan Jarry has done in November and December and into January and thinking, well, that settles it. He's better than Matt Murray. No, I can't. And I'm not the biggest Matt Murray fan, but I'm not taking December hockey and extrapolating that Jarry is going to be a great playoff goaltender. I think that's a jump to conclusion.
All right, we'd like to hear your opinions. Give us a call, 412-575-2600 is the number. We could talk about this situation right now with the Penguins. Also, if you want to talk about the Steelers, Troy Polamalu, Alan Faneca are both finalists in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Do you think they both get in this year? 412-575-2600, back in 2 minutes.
The Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call is brought to you by Ireland Contracting, celebrating 25 years as Pittsburgh's #1 home exterior expert in roofing, siding, windows, and gutters, where honesty and integrity still matter.